Please join me for my recent interview on Ask the Expert with Steve Sleeper.
Welcome to Ask the Expert with noted radio host Steve Sleeper. Each week, Steve interviews entrepreneurs and professionals and shares their intriguing stories of success and service. Now, here's radio veteran Steve Sleeper.
Our guest today is James Short. He's a criminal defense attorney in Chesapeake, Virginia. Jim, how you doing today?
Doing great today. Thanks for asking.
Oh, good, good. Hey, tell me a little bit about your firm and yourself.
Well, I was born and raised in the Hampton Roads area, and I'm married. I have two children. My wife, Lisa, she teaches third grade. My daughter, Jamie, she's in her fourth year at the University of Virginia, and she's actually decided that she's going to go to law school and to become an attorney. So maybe one day she'll work with me. But I have my son, Parker. He's a rising junior at Western Branch High School. And in my free time, when I have free time, I really enjoy fly fishing. I like to go fly fishing normally in the Harrisonburg, Virginia, up in the mountains. It's really beautiful there, so that's really relaxing, and that's kind of my passion. As far as my firm, I'm a solo practitioner. So if a client comes to my office, I will definitely be handling their case. I have a legal assistant. Her name's Karen Reel, and she has been with me from the beginning. And my main areas of practice are criminal law, DUI, serious traffic offenses, family law, and personal injury.
And like I mentioned, we're going to talk about criminal defense today. So my first question, Jim, would be, what should we look for in a criminal defense attorney?
Well, I think the first thing that one should look for is someone who, is experienced. You want to look at their level of experience and how much of their practice is devoted to representing people that are charged with criminal offenses. And, sometimes even, there's some attorneys that maybe specialize in DUI and traffic offenses and don't do other types of criminal cases. So in that case, if you're charged with a more serious felony, that might not be the right attorney for you. Also, I think you want to try to find someone that you're comfortable talking with. I mean, you should be able to ask the attorney questions, and you should feel like your questions are being well received and answered, because you're going to have a good relationship with your attorney, and many times you're going to have to share very sensitive information with that attorney. And so you really want to have a lot of trust and faith in that attorney. And if it's just difficult just to talk with them, then it's going to be difficult to have the relationship that you need to be effectively represented.
Now, here's a question I hear sometimes. Can't I just go into the courtroom and talk directly to the prosecutor?
My experience, and I'm an ex-prosecutor myself, is most of the time prosecutors are not real comfortable talking with someone who's unrepresented. Also, I don't think that it's wise for a person to speak directly to the prosecutor, because you could make statements to the prosecutor that later could be used against you. Also, an experienced criminal defense attorney knows how to present your case in the most favorable light, and also knows what a fair plea would be.
Okay, so what types of crimes do you defend?
Well, I represent people that are charged with what I consider minor offenses, such as shoplifting, trespassing, and simple assault. But I also represent people that are charged with very serious charges, felonies, such as murder, rape, and robbery.
So how do folks find you?
I find a lot of people now with the internet, they're going on the internet and either looking at my website, or there's several attorney review sites that people use. And of course, I've been doing this for quite some time now, so I've got some very loyal clients that refer people and that they know that need legal assistance.
So what's the most common question you get?
That's a good question. I'd have to say that I'll have people ask me when they are charged with an offense such as, say, assault and battery, and there's only one person testifying against them. And, they tell me, hey, they don't have any evidence against me. It's just this person's word against my own. And I caution them. I tell you, well, if it's the judge or if it's the jury, either the judge or the jury is the trier of fact. And that means they decide what level of credibility they want to give to someone, whether the person is believable or not. And if one person testifies against you and the judge or the jury thinks that one witness is credible and what they're saying is true, then you can be convicted simply based on the testimony of one person. They don't need photographs. They don't need videos. They don't need fingerprints. Just the person's testimony can be enough to convict someone. And I find that that's very difficult concept for some people to understand.
Now, we talked a little bit about this before when I asked the question, what should we look for in a criminal defense attorney? But let's get a little more specific. Let's say I'm in trouble. Why should I come to you?
Well, for one, obviously I've been doing this for a long time, and I have excellent experience. I was a prosecutor in the city of Portsmouth for 4.5 years, so I have the distinct advantage of knowing how the prosecutor looks at cases and how they go about trying to prove their case. And I think this is a valuable tool, not only in cases that I try, but also in cases where I'm able to successfully negotiate a plea agreement. And as a defense attorney for the past 25 years, I've gained a lot of valuable experience. The other thing that I would point to is what I just refer to as accessibility. And by that I mean, there's some attorneys out there that either don't have a legal assistant to answer the phone, or they prefer to set their appointments themselves. Now, at first glance, that may sound good, but if you're a busy attorney such as myself, I'm either interviewing people or I'm in court. So I don't have a lot of time to answer the phone for people who are calling in. So that's why I have a legal assistant, my legal assistant, Karen Reel. She answers my phones. If you came to my office, in front of her desk, you'd see a calendar. Anyone can call her and tell her that they would like to speak with me. She'll set up an appointment for them, and that ends it. And they can call me at that appropriate time, and I'll be ready to to talk with them. The other thing that I think that's important too is I always try to make my clients feel as comfortable as possible. I know they're going through a very difficult time in their life. They're worried about their job. They're worried about their family. Obviously, they're worried about potentially going to jail. And so it's a very difficult time. And so I do my best to make the client feel as comfortable as possible, knowing that I'm going to work hard on their case. And I think that that's really important, because if you're not comfortable with your attorney, then it's going to make it very difficult to have an effective relationship. And I always look at it like when I have a client, I want them to refer to me as their attorney for life, and I'm not going to accomplish that goal if I'm rude or unsympathetic to my client. So that's definitely a goal of mine, is to have a client for life.
Anything else we should know, Jim?
Well, one thing that I hear quite a bit is people that are looking for an attorney, and they're basing their decision solely on price. In other words, they're trying to find the least expensive attorney. And although I know, obviously, money and the cost of an attorney is something that the client has to consider, I would say that it's one of the lesser factors. The analogy I like to make is if you were going to look to buy a car, you wouldn't buy a car just because it was the least expensive. You look at the dependability, you look at probably the gas mileage, the craftsmanship, the features of the car, maybe the size of the car, but you would make that decision solely based on the price. I think the same thing applies to when you're seeking an attorney. If you're simply trying to pick the least expensive attorney, in the long run, that's going to cost you, that could cost you a lot more money. And in criminal cases, obviously, you could lose your job. It could call for incarceration. So you definitely want to make sure that you're picking an attorney who has the experience and the time to work your file appropriately so that you get the best possible disposition that can be.
Our guest today, James Short, we've been talking to him about criminal defense. Jim, how can we reach you?
You can reach me by calling my legal assistant. Her name's Karen Reel, and the phone number is 757-410-5042. I would also say that on criminal cases, I offer a 20-minute strategy session where the person can come in or call me and speak with me over the phone, and I'll talk with them about the elements and how I would approach the case if they decided to retain me.
And you talked about some other areas that you specialize in the beginning of the program. That probably bears repeating.
Yes, I also do quite a bit of family law, which encompasses divorces, child support, spousal support, custody visitation cases, and guardianships as well. And I also handle personal injury cases. And so if someone's injured, they can certainly come to me. And the other thing that I tell folks as well, because I've been in practicing law for such a long period of time, that I have a pretty good network of colleagues. So if a client of mine or a former client calls and say, hey, I've got a question about bankruptcy or real estate, those are areas that I don't practice in, but I have colleagues that I'm very confident in that are very capable, and I like referring my clients to people that I know that can do the job for them.
Thanks for listening to Ask the Expert with Steve Sleeper. Join us next time as entrepreneurs and professionals share their intriguing stories of success and service.